two, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. 1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly, cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
Hey. Yeah. Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby. Yes.
February 1st, episode 370 of the PHP Ugly podcast. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, as always, John Congdon.
Hello, hello. Another one.
We are a podcast that focuses on the PHP programming language, the surrounding community, and our company, PHP Architect. Show is made better thanks to some sponsorship. Honeybadger.io, who's been with us for a very long time, and we do appreciate that, as well as our supporters on Patreon. We're going to talk about all of them a little later.
Especially Honeybadger.
If you would like to participate in the show live, you can do it on any platform. Twitter, I think we're still on Facebook, maybe not. Twitch, and obviously YouTube. But if you really want to be part of the show and part of the community throughout the week, you want to join us in our Discord at discord.phpugly.com. That's discord.phpugly.com. I think I mumbled that last part. Great group of people in there. We hang out all week long and chat. And you get to do some extra things like suggest show titles and things like that. I think
if we were better, we would have like lower thirds and everything like pop up, like showing the Discord URL as we're saying it. Maybe our sponsor as we're saying it.
You're asking like a lot from me, Congdon.
Not you. I should be doing this stuff too. It's hard producing a show while you're doing the show. Like,
yeah, I don't know how they do it.
Well, yeah, most people don't. Most people have somebody there like hitting buttons for them. Which is what you that's what you wanted your original role to be.
Way back in the day, you remember that?
Before PHP Ugly started, it was like you wanted to be the producer, but not on air. And I'm like, the show would not be what it is today without your presence. It's crazy.
It would be so much better.
I don't believe that for a bit. Not one bit.
Good old days. How's it going?
It's a going stressful thing.
February 1st. I mean, the clock is ticking, baby. Clock is ticking.
Well, 81 days? Is that what we're at now?
Sounds right to me. I don't
81 days, anymore. 14 hours.
Oh my god. Let's see.
Yeah.
Look at that. Tick, tick, tick. And
Yeah, it's bad when you leave that on the screen all day and all you're watching is that time dripping away. You're like, I should probably be doing something else right about now.
I can't believe I don't know if it's the fact that we record at 3:00 now on the West Coast, which, by the way, my plan is coming together. I'm about to have beachfront property any day now with as much rain as we've been getting here in Southern California. It is insane. And you don't understand, like, Southern California was not designed for drainage or just wet weather at all. So, but like, I don't know if it's because we're recording at 3:00, but like, the show seems to creep up so much faster. And it's like, wait a minute, are we already this far into the week? Like, how is it Thursday already?
That's definitely part of it. It seems that way. Yeah, the with all the wet weather, I actually had a power outage today, which I haven't had in
I
forever.
saw you mention that in Slack. So you guys obviously get a lot of rain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
been
it's
raining all day.
it's so spotty. But I will say, I'm sure it's happened before. I just never paid attention to it. We looked at the chance of rain back on Monday, and again, Southern California, all Southern California, LA, San Diego, historically horrible at predicting the weather. Like, they would say, oh, there's a 40% chance of rain, and it would never rain. Like, they would be wrong more than 60% of the time. It was horrible. But for the first time that I can remember, way back on Monday, it said 100% chance of rain Thursday morning. I'm like, wait, what? How can you be so confident? And they were right.
I'm looking at it now. I did my baseball draft on Monday night, and we're supposed to have our first practice this Saturday. And with it raining as much as it is, the chance of that happening are pretty low.
Yeah, that's probably not happening.
Yeah, it reminds me back to last season. It rained so much that I think we only had a handful of practices before the season kicked off. And it's like, the kids need more help.
So how's your week been going?
Good. We started a new contract with a new client. Super excited about that.
Stuff about that, yeah.
Things are moving along with tech. I've had this graph that shows ticket sales compared to last year, but it's based on days before the conference.
Right.
And I've been so stressed out about ticket sales and making sure that, we obviously have a break-even point. We need, up until you get enough attendees, we're basically tracking at a deficit. We plan for the worst case scenario, and then you have to budget, right? It's like, if we sold 0 tickets, we're going to lose this much money. And then as you sell some tickets, you're getting closer to that break even, and then hopefully you go a little bit on the other side. We do not make much money on this at all, but it's so stressful. So we have this graph compared to last year, and this year compared to last year has been so much lower than what it's been last year. It's been driving me crazy for weeks. And then all of a sudden yesterday, those lines crossed, and it just made me feel better. We're still losing a lot of money if we don't sell any more tickets, but
yeah,
knowing that we're kind of on pace with where we were last year at this point is making me feel a little bit better.
Which I'm so surprised, because I feel like last year in my head, I understood a lot of people maybe waiting till the last minute to buy tickets, right? Because first time it's come back, is it really going to happen? How good is it going to be? Will my company send me? We haven't gone to a conference in a while. But this year, with it returning, I thought for sure early bird was going to go go through the roof. Like I thought we were going to get this huge spike of early bird, level off, and then actually maybe start to come down a little bit before those last minute purchases started happening. I'm not complaining about early bird because again, it is us not losing more money, but like not making as much headway as we'd like. So the fewer early bird tickets we sell is better for us as long as we sell the same amount of tickets.
Right.
But
That's the hard part.
I just was surprised. I'm like, man, I would think I just thought more companies had come around to, okay, we're doing in-person conferences again. Yeah, this team has been doing conferences for a while. They just came out last year. They did a good job. Let's budget for this. But it didn't happen as much as I thought it would. Like you said, comparatively speaking, during early bird, we sold fewer early bird tickets this year than we did last year, which I was surprised.
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
I know a few weeks ago you complained about people publicly stating like, I'm not going to attend a conference unless I'm chosen to speak there.
Yes.
And I definitely understand that sentiment.
Thank you.
Definitely wish it wasn't a public statement said quite like that. But I've actually reached out to a couple of other people, like people I know that have been in the community. I'm like, hey, are we going to see you at Tech this year? And they're like, no, but do you need me to speak? Like, well, I'll come out if you need me to speak. And I'm like, no, we're covered there. Like, if you're not paying attention, we have a very good lineup. I'm super excited about who we have speaking, the topics being spoken about on. Definitely don't need that. But it's like, you are someone in the community. You have written books. You have the power of conferences and community. You should be going to these things. And I guess I get it if you're not working for somebody that will pay for you to go.
Mm.
If you are working by yourself and an employer won't send you, I understand. I can only go if I'm chosen to speak. But if you own your own business, it's a small drop in the bucket to go and continue learning and be part of the community, possibly grow your business that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I vented my complaints about it. And like I said, the one that really hit me the most is when they do it publicly. It's like, at least add some qualifiers to it. Like, hey, I would love to go. I'm not able to this year. Even if you don't want to say it's a financial reason, just make it sound like you would like to go. Like, I would really love to go, but I can't. But and not just for tech. I mean, I get it. It's we have skin in this game, but just in general,
Exactly.
We had so I'm going to catch you off guard a little bit. We had something similar that happened. Obviously, we publish a magazine, and we're very focused on community. And the in-person conference was a big achievement for us. It's something we really thought was important that the community got back to, and I still feel that way for things like user groups, right? Even in San Diego, where John and I are, we tried to get the user group going again. Honestly, with the business and the magazine and everything, it was a lot, but we felt like it was important enough. And we published an article where somebody kind of said, user groups are kind of dead. It's like, yo, don't say that. It's like, don't say in-person user group. You got a lot of organizers out there working hard to get user groups going again, in-person user groups going again. So it was like, you don't want to silence a voice, especially in the community. It's like, okay, that's their opinion. Somebody had actually stepped up and said, hey, I'd like to write a what is it? Not a response, but
rebuttal,
Rebuttal.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's good. This is what the magazine's for. This is a good platform for that. Let's get both sides. But that rebuttal
Mhm.
never came in. I was kind
Yeah.
of holding off talking about it until the rebuttal came out so that I could kind of support it a little bit, but it never came out.
I don't think the take was so much that user groups are dead. It's just it's hard when we put as much as we did into our user group, and to see it just dwindle and not get the people to come out. It's hard. It's sad, and looking around the country, it does seem to be that way. It seemed to be what's happening with user groups in general. And it's like, how do you get people out of their shell and care about community and just being around other like-minded people? I mean, how many people, PHP developers especially, do you get to interact with on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm.
Can you commiserate with people? That's one thing about the user group, is you go talk to people about things you're working on. What are other people working on? Bounce ideas off of each other. I talked with people at our user group about businesses they were trying to start, and they would ask for feedback. So to me, it was all great conversations. It's just when they don't come out, it
Well,
makes
I
it
mean,
hard.
I think we're fighting a couple of things here. Obviously, the pandemic just absolutely demolished in person anything. But now, on the tail end of that, granted, COVID is technically still a thing, but I think everybody has learned how to kind of get on with life with it. But there is that, and we talked about this even back in the day. The not accountability, but what do you call these companies that host you? There's
Mhm.
some legalities to that, right? I mean, there's in with when COVID hit, I think it really kind of made them think. It's like, hey, how are we using our spaces? First thing, a lot of them got rid of spaces, including
Mhm.
PHP Architect. Well, Diego Dev back then, we
Mhm.
had a physical office that developers would go to. John and I would go to. We got rid of ours. A lot of places got it. So the amount of spaces available greatly reduced. Also, I think that with the stay-at-home kind of lifestyle that developed, people, I like to think positive, people started kind of interacting with family again, and they got on these patterns that, oh yeah, my nights aren't free anymore. My nights are doing this with the family or doing that. Like everybody's kind of flow got disrupted and kind of reprioritized. And I think in-person meetings, in-person anything suffered a lot from that.
Mhm. I agree. Um, Go switch topics from that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we took over PHP Architect, what, 2.5 years ago now, something like that,
Sounds right. Yeah.
and we still don't know all the ins and outs. And we know that the website that we acquired has limitations.
That's a polite way of putting it. Sure. Let's call them limitations.
There have been new things added to that were kind of hacked in to make them work, and one of those was uh, the ability to have a month-to-month uh, print option. So
Hmm.
you always had a monthly recurring digital, and if you wanted to print, you had to go for a full year. And then one of the first things that we did was, why don't we introduce the ability to do a monthly recurring subscription? Had somebody write in last week, yeah, I want to cancel, but the cancel button doesn't work. And it gave them some error message like record could not be found or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on here? They ended up, I think they wrote in Friday. So we didn't get to it through the weekend. And then while I was
They
researching
tweeted
it,
about it.
I didn't reply. So then they tweeted out like, hey, I emailed and didn't get a response. I'm sorry for not getting the response back to you quickly enough. I need to be better at answering support tickets for sure. We're getting better as a company, but way too often they've gone too long. But I did find the issue, and it's because the cancel code, if it doesn't send what type of subscription to cancel, it has to be digital.
Oh,
So-
interesting. You didn't even tell me this.
No,
Huh.
I just found out yesterday.
Huh.
And I think it's still probably broken on the website. But we have our own little internal tool that we use that basically does the exact same thing. And I'm looking, I'm like, why is this not canceling? Why am I getting record not found? Looking at the database, the record's there. What is happening here? And that's what it ended up being. The default is digital, and that's the only thing it could cancel.
That's yes, I saw that tweet come out. I had not seen the ticket in our ticketing system, but I did see the tweet, and I just did a quick reply, say, hey, DM me your email address, and we'll look into it.
Yeah,
But-
they replied because we weren't following them, so they can't DM us.
See, I am getting old, man. I don't know how to use computers anymore. I thought there was a way to open up your DM so anybody could DM you, and I looked at our settings for PHP Architect, and I thought that was open. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
they should be able to DM us, but I guess
Yeah.
not. I should have checked that on that.
Yep, not sure how that works.
All right, so we talked about a new contract, which has
We did.
been fun. It's we're kind of in that frustrating phase. I mean, I guess it's a honeymoon period, so everybody's happy to be working together, and it's not an issue. But it's frustrating for me as kind of the lead. Is I want to get people working on things. It's like, all right, you got to get access set up to the repo, and then I tested the access to the repo, and it's not working. He's like, oh man, this is like, I just need to be able to commit code. Just let me commit code. So, it's like in this frustrating state of, okay, let's get all the access set up and let's make sure everything's working, but we're getting there. It's it's taking a little time. But
you went
we
above,
also
you went above and beyond. The contract didn't start today, and you started last week. Like, hey, let's have this interaction. Like, we don't have to wait. And I think that's great.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll, baby.
Some place to be like, no, we're not starting until the contract takes effect.
Yeah. And it's always fun because, it's like new tools, new workflows. And, we're always in this position of, okay, we try to make things as less disruptive to the client as possible. So if they're used to working with certain tools, we want to try to work with those tools. That's where we are now. Now we will augment the workflow. If we see something better, we'll work with them, say, hey, we think this is a better workflow. But back on Jira, which is cool. I've worked with Jira before.
It's come a long way.
It really has. Even since I worked with it.
Yeah, I used Jira like a decade ago, and it was terrible. And we have another client, not the new one, but another client using it, and it's not bad. It's very powerful if you take the time to set it up right.
Right. And that's one of the things we're looking at. It's like, okay, let's make sure we use this correctly. They also use GitLabs, which I tell you what, man, that is such an impressive project. There's a paid GitLabs, obviously. And GitLabs, if you don't know, is like GitHub, which is abstracted away from Git. Git is its own thing. GitLabs and GitHub are kind of interfaces to manage Git repos. The how well GitLabs stays up to speed on features that like GitHub is putting out, it's just so impressive. And every time I look at it, I start playing with it. I'm like, we really should be on GitLabs. This is bullshit. Why are we paying for GitHub? We should be on GitLabs.
Why are we paying Microsoft?
Yeah, it's just such an impressive project. The project as an open source project as a whole is just so impressive. I like that. But so we talked about all the new client, but we also have a new employee, right?
We do.
And so if you missed the show,
Last week.
last week, Mike in our Discord officially started with us as well today. And Mike is remote. Mike is over in the EU. This is not an uncommon practice for us.
He is not in the EU.
Where is he?
He's in the UK. Remember Brexit? They're not part of the EU anymore.
Right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm American. You guys are over there. Okay. Anyways, he's across the pond, as we say. So we are very accustomed to remote workers, right? Because we've worked with them in the past. We have one that's up in, what's the country north of us? Is that
Spain? I think it's Spain.
Puerto Rico? Canada. That's it. We have one in Canada. We had a developer for a while in the Philippines, which, side note, I would love to establish a company presence in the Philippines for the simple reason the Philippines gets paid in pesos. So the currency is PHP. I loved
it's not pesos.
sitting the it's the Filipino peso is what it's called. PHP.
Oh,
yeah, Filipino peso. And so I love that. So that's all good. But let me ask you a question. This is a sidetrack. I got to be very sensitive on where I step here because of things. I have a very close friend of mine who also worked with a remote only company. I guess not only, but remote focused company where a lot of the people that works at the company are remote. They were a San Diego based company, and initially, much like us, everybody was in San Diego. So like when they did training and stuff, people would go over to other people's homes and do the training. It was like a normal thing. But now they're spread out across the country. So they're not San Diego based anymore. They're spread out across the world, but the majority of them are here in the US. They were sent an email that basically said, hey, you're not allowed to move unless we give you permission. I'm sorry, what? And it's like, they sent that to their employees. They're like, hey, you can't move unless we give you permission to move. It's like, wait, you're a remote company. Why do you care? Like, there could be time zones are an issue with this company. I realize that. As long as you can kind of do the job during the time that you're requested to do the job, I don't understand what the problem is here.
Now I'm curious how explicit it was. Like, can I move down the street? Can I move across the city? Like, was there within a specific geographical boundary? Like, maybe it was, you can't move to another state without talking to us, because setting up taxes in another state is a pain in the butt. And we just went through it last year when one of our employees moved to Maine. I had to go and establish Maine taxes and set up, we're a foreign entity in Maine. So there's a lot of legwork that I have to do when people move. So part of me kind of understands that, especially as a small company, having to spend hours every time somebody does that is a pain. Granted, I can't tell people where to live. So, right. I mean, maybe part of that is, hey, if you're going to move to another state that we don't have a presence in, we may have to part ways. Maybe that's part of it.
Mm-hmm. I think to answer your question, they were very not clear on that matter. At least the way it was explained to me. I didn't see the physical email. I just had it explained to me. But it sounds like they could have worded it better as well. It's like, hey, if you're moving, here's some factors you have to take in consideration. Please reach out to us and let's discuss it so that you are aware of what your position is going to be with the company, if there is one, after you move. Not you have to get permission from us. It's like, not my dad.
That's where I use something like ChatGPT. I'm going to put in what I want to say and say, I need it to sound like this. And it rewrites, here's a softer way to say this. Here's a little nicer tone for you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we need to pay some bills. I did go back and verify everybody was correct. That was my AI Honey Badger ad. I need to re-record mine. So let's listen to John.
Thanks to our friends at honeybadger.io for sponsoring this podcast. Monitoring, like web development, can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and that your customers are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why they built Honeybadger, the monitoring tool we always wanted. A tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping code, know when critical errors occur, and which customers are affected. Respond instantly when your systems go down. Improve the health of your systems over time and fix problems before your customers can report them. Honeybadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's www.honeybadger.io. Thank you, Honeybadger. Speaking of Honeybadger, the joy of signing a new client and getting onto their Honeybadger account is you get lots of Honeybadger emails.
That's always fun. Okay, you know you're working with a quality company when they're already using the same tools that you use. Like, yeah, that was fun.
And then you see those and you're like, oh, looks like we're gonna keep this contract for a while.
I stressed out about it because we have Honeybadger installed with existing clients, and I've kind of gotten accustomed to a cadence of notifications, especially in our Slack channel. And then all of a sudden I started getting this flood of Honeybadger notifications that they weren't hitting the Slack channel. I'm like, wait, what's going on? What are all these notifications? And I realized it was the new client. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I guess some things need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, Honeybadger is a great tool.
I'm looking through the emails we've gotten recently. I'm like, we really got to fix these things up.
You talking about the existing clients or the new one?
Yeah, the existing client.
Yeah. There's some crud out there that it's just like, okay, I know this happens. It's fine. I think everybody kind of gets displacement.
Yeah, and it's frustrating to a point. Like another client we have has some other tool that they're using, and it's the same thing. You just stop looking at it, and it's like, but you don't want to not look at it.
Right.
There's got to be a way to, and I know there is, squelch those so they don't make it into Honeybadger. If you know they're happening, and you're not going to do anything about it when it hits those tools, squelch it before it gets to the tools, so that when those tools squawk, you're reacting to that.
Yeah.
So I need to be better about looking at that myself.
It is fun. It's fun looking at new code bases though, and getting excited about doing things and getting in there. We had the first real meeting with the team. So like you said, I started working with the new client last week, just kind of doing some basic stuff, basic setup. But we had the first meeting with the team, and yeah, it's fun just looking at code and all right. And the cool thing about it is this person's a developer. They've been a developer for a long time. They kind of have the same thoughts as we have, and so it was cool to kind of get in there and just already kind of be familiar with the code, even though you'd never seen it before.
Yeah, it's so much better than going in cold, or like the company firing the only developer they have and then bringing us in. It's like makes it more difficult because
Yeah.
one, you have to communicate with the company who they've just fired their developer. They're not developers themselves. How do you make sure you have everything you need? That back and forth. So
Mhm.
this situation where it's not an emergency, and we already know the developer and we like them and already have a great relationship, being able to have
Mhm.
open conversations is fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Do we have any development talk to talk about? Any PHP stuff to talk about?
You had shared something, it's not necessarily PHP, but I saw as you were talking to that client, I'm trying to get back to it.
That was our new
Indify.
employee.
It was. What is Indify?
So in Defy, I had Mike, and we use Notion. We've talked about this in the past. We use Notion as for a lot of workflows within PHP Architect. So if we're not using a client's tool for something, or even if we are, sometimes we overlap tools. We'll use things in Notion, and each person in the company has a personalized dashboard. So a dashboard that has a view to all of the stuff as it relates to them, and they have the ability to customize what their dashboard looks like. And they happen to have seen mine, and I have these widgets on mine. And what Indify is this person out there who's decided to create these web um, sites. So the widget in Notion is just an embedded website. That's all it is. There's nothing special about it. You can embed any URL. So he creates all these little widgets that you can embed into your Notion dashboard, things like clocks and stuff like that. And yeah, that's what that is. I saw that on Trello. I'm like, wait a minute, I literally just shared that with Mike this morning. How the hell did he see this? Yeah,
I'm
this is
spying on you. little spyware on your computer.
Yeah, it's if you use again, I don't think it's specific to Notion. Maybe it is that I'm just not
I
aware
mean,
of
it
it. But
definitely says Notion widgets. So
yeah, but yeah, it's great. I mean, it's got calendars and clocks and weather and all sorts of cool things. I've used it a few times. It's one of those things like when you get into Notion, you like want all the bells and whistles, and it seems like a good idea. Then you slowly start dialing back again. It's like, why do I have this button here? This is stupid.
where did it come from?
Yeah. So yeah, that's what that is. It's a Notion tool.
Yeah. I will have to look into it more. I use Notion, I mean, obviously for our workflows for the magazine, but it's very like table based or database based, where it's like, here's a record, what's the status of it? So within the magazine, we have all of our articles that are going out that month and the current state of it. Does it need to be reviewed? Does it need to go through Grammarly? Is it ready for layout? So I'm just used to that, almost like a task manager versus all the bells and whistles. And then I look at some of the stuff you've done in there. I'm like, you've got a lot of time on your no. the stuff you've created is really cool. And it's like, where do I learn all that stuff? And how do I get the time to do so?
Yeah, I have compulsion issues, and like I try to figure things out. I don't know what it is. You want to see something else I discovered that's pretty cool? I don't know. It's new to me. I don't know how long it's been out, but it's very new to me. I'm gonna share my full browser. Make sure I don't have anything exposed. Actually, yeah, let's actually give me a second, please. Just one moment. Let's do that's good. That should be good. That's good. Yeah, let's do this. All right, so I'm going to share my browser with you guys.
If you're listening to the audio podcast, go to youtube.com, hit the subscribe button, the bell button, the like button, and then fast forward to about 40 minutes into the podcast and see what he's sharing. You got to do all the other things first, otherwise that part doesn't work.
So in Chrome, you've had the ability to do grouping of tabs. So as you open up tabs, you can add them to a group of like-minded tabs, right? So I have like my scale stuff. I have some stuff here for PHP Tech, PHP Ugly, because I'm working. We're doing the podcasts here. So that's nothing new. That's always been here. But what you haven't always been able to do is save the group. I'm like, okay, what does this do? I'm not really sure what this does. And I just figured it out this week that, say, PHP Ugly, for example, right? I can hide that group so that that group goes away. But you see down here, the group is still available to me. So if I click on this, it brings that group back with all the tabs that were
Well,
associated with it.
Technically, that was a different one, but I get it.
Oh yeah, I did PHP Ugly, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
PHP Ugly. It brings back PHP Ugly with all the tabs associated with it. So I'm like, this is great. Like this is a group. Like I said, I've been using groups for a while, but if you close your browser, if you can do that whole kind of restore from where it says, do you want to restore your browser? It will. Sometimes it would keep the groups. Sometimes it wouldn't. I never figured out why it would or why it wouldn't. But now with this little saved feature, it's almost like a different way of handling bookmarks. If somebody like me who likes to group their bookmarks, yeah.
See, I definitely do the bookmark grouping, and I definitely have a lot of tabs, but I don't use a tab grouping, and I probably should, because right now I have like 10 different windows open, and each one probably has anywhere from 20 to 50 tabs.
And see, this is something. All right, so okay, we're going to talk about. Let me share this bad boy again for you. I got to get on a page. All right, so here's that. Here's something I don't understand. Like, so John knows this about me. Obviously, the world knows it about me. I use Vim, right? In Notion, not Notion. I'm looking at Notion. In most browsers, there's a Vim plugin you can have where you can navigate with your keyboard. So like if I wanted to go to that calendar app, I'd just type SF and it'll open up the calendar link, right? I can go back by hitting Shift H. But what you're talking about, John, in the same problem I have, when you have a lot of tabs, especially when you start using groups and you can't see what tabs you have out there anymore, I can hit space T, and that actually opens up all my tabs, and I can like search for Trello, right? I can search for Trello, and it'll jump to my Trello tab, and it's just I don't understand how you're not using this, John. It's like how are you not using this?
I because I do similar, but I should use that. I mean, I just go up to the
upper right.
Well, no, I just go to the address bar. I start typing in. It's like, oh, you already have this open tab, and I go right to it.
Oh, does it do that? I never even knew that. Because I showed you how to do it. Chrome has it built in now. I don't know if all Chromium browsers do, but if you use Chrome in the upper right-hand corner, you can actually navigate your tabs there, and it even gives you a keyboard shortcut so that you don't have to reach for your mouse like a
see,
like
I didn't know that was
caveman.
there.
Oh, I thought I showed that to you before. Yeah, so it has a little search your tabs thing there. So you're seeing if I type in like Trello, it says switch the tab. Oh, look at that. Interesting. I didn't know that was there. I hardly ever do that. So cool.
Learning from each other. Look at that.
There you go. Yeah, but you got to use the Vimium. Well, there's a couple. Vimium is the one I use. Vimium is on Chromium browsers, Firefox. I think even Safari has Vimium. And yeah, I mean, once you get into the groove, you just navigate the keyboard.
This item is inactive. Oh, never mind. It's inactive because I have it installed, just not enabled. Look at that.
So you almost had it done.
Almost, but not quite. Here, we'll do it this way. Add it right to the show notes. Somebody in Discord shared a interesting video, and at first I freaked out because I use Steam. How a Steam bug deleted someone's entire PC.
Wait, what? That can't be
Literally,
real.
it is, because the Linux port of it uses a lot of bash script, and whoever wrote it even put in the comments, "This is scary." And it doesn't matter because they did it anyway, and they did an rm-fr/.
No way.
So now what they technically did was rm-fr variable name /, but through a couple of errors that have happened either by the user themselves or some other issue that happened, the variable ended up being an empty string. So it essentially was rm-fr/.
Oh, this is great. And unfortunately, it's a YouTube video. I mean, I can play it, but we can't like.
Root directory's contents. At this point, most were satisfied and began.
I love these postmortems, or I guess you're not supposed to call it postmortem anymore, but I love when something like this happens and they release like, oh, hey, yeah, this is what happened just now. How weird is this?
Yeah. So this back in 2015, so it's older, but it's probably still an issue. But I still love the comment in the script that says, "This is scary."
True developer.
Yeah.
I had something similar happen to me, actually.
Did you?
Not to this extreme, but I was working on the phptech.tv site.
Oh,
and I'm like, shoot, I need to start writing tests because I was moving a lot of things around. I'm like, I gotta write some tests. So I start writing some like super basic tests, but one of them called to the database and pulled up some records. I'm like, all right. So I did my database refresh, and I hadn't even thought about it. I'd been like coding for so long. I'm like, all right, let me see if these tests run. And I go to run it. I'm like, okay, that didn't work. Like not even a little bit. I'm like, what the hell happened? So I go back to the website, and the whole website's down. Now this is a local development environment. I didn't do this in production, obviously. But I go back to the
Oh no,
website.
it wasn't obvious because from your comment in Discord earlier in the week, I thought it was production.
No, I go back to the website. I'm like, wait, where's my website? Like, what just happened? So I look at the database, and like everything is empty. I'm like, the tables are there because the migrations ran, but there's no data in any of them. And it took me a quick moment. I'm like, how did this just happen? Like all it did was run test. And I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, right. So I ran tests. I told it database refresh. I didn't give it a specific test database, and I didn't switch it to SQLite. So it just reran all the migrations on my existing database. Fantastic. I was so frustrated. I hated you at that moment in my life. I'm like, I hate John. I was either going to hate you or I was going to hate Grumpy, and I just decided to go with you.
That works. Don't blame me on that one. So you said it was just a configuration, right?
Right.
Just changing that and everything was fine.
Right, because I hadn't defined a test database, and I hadn't defined it. So typically, I'm that whole SQLite guy, right? I'll go into my PHP unit.xml and say, okay, the database here is SQLite, so that I don't have to worry about managing another database. I hadn't done that. I hadn't defined a test database, so it just took my existing database and said, okay, you want to refresh your database? I'll refresh it. And I didn't have seeders because we had built this kind of on the fly and started populating stuff. Yeah. So I didn't have seeders for the tables, and yeah, everything went bye-bye. It was painful to watch.
I'm surprised that Laravel doesn't like force, especially for something like that, force it to be in a testing environment or some sort of setting that says I'm in a test environment. It's okay to do this.
Well, I mean, to its defense, the app environment is not set to production. It's set to local. Like it has an app env environment in your .env file that you're supposed
Right.
to set to production for production stuff. So it was not. It's set to
So
local.
it wouldn't do it in production anyway.
So says theory. I guess I haven't really tested that.
Let's not test that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could test it locally, I guess, and just say it's production.
I mean, that would actually be a great little exploit. Just like go into all their directories and try to run PHP unit and just see what happens. See if it blows away their database. Yeah, that was fun. Like I said, fortunately, I just grabbed another copy. The issue at the time, and I have learned now, but is all the coding I had been doing up until that time was specifically to massage the data to accommodate the second conference, associate users to whatever conference they attended or paid for, making sure they had access to all the conferences previously, doing the same thing to like rooms and conference and talks and conference. So I'd done all this massaging of the data to get it to a point where it's like, okay, we're good for this year's tech. And so I had to run all those scripts again. So the scripts work really well if I pull down a new database and I can massage the data again.
But you're testing. That's what I took away from this. Not that you messed up, but that you're testing.
Bullshit. I'm not testing ever again. Nothing good can come from testing.
Actually, I always talk about testing, going BDD testing, using something like Codeception or Behat. I love the Gherkin syntax around that. But to me, it's always been you're testing the UI. They're slower tests. I was talking to somebody last week or the week before, and they're starting to use it instead of PHP unit for backend testing.
So first, can you explain what the Gherkin syntax is?
Yeah. So in general, you create anybody. You could say, hey, I have a QA department or product that they have to write my tests, and it's literally a given some scenario. When something happens, then this should happen. So given Bob is a user of some platform and he has these properties or settings or feature flags or whatever you need, when they do something, when they log in or when they visit a specific page, then, and again, I'm used to it from the UI perspective, given I'm this person, when I visit this page, I should see this button, or I should be able to do something on the page, fill it out. So in general, it's just very verbose syntax. And then using your tools to create those methods, the methods are actually named very similar to that.
The idea being like the application owners who don't need to be developers can actually write your tests for you, and you can actually code to those tests or to those I forget what they call them. Yeah, but they have a name, not scenarios.
Yeah, scenarios.
Is it a scenario?
I mean, in the file, it's called a scenario.
Okay, so you can actually code to the scenario, and when you're done, you give it back to the business owner and say, "Hey, this is doing exactly what you asked it to do. Here's the scenario you gave me, and here's it passing." And you just kind of move forward with that, and they become better at writing scenarios. We as developers become better at meeting the requirements, because it kind of removes a lot of that gray area behind what's being asked for and what's being delivered. In theory, that's the kind of theory behind it.
And it's really nice because I think I said on a previous show, how when I bring in a new library, when I'm trying to implement it, sometimes if I don't want to read all the documentation, I'll actually go to the tests and read through the test on how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to be used. With something like the Gherkin language, it's very clear. This is what is supposed to happen on a given page or in a given scenario. So you know what's supposed to happen, then getting to the test behind it is pretty easy.
And you say you talked to a developer who's doing it for back-end stuff now?
Right, instead of just for UI. So everything is in a context. And there are now 3 contexts in the project. There's one context using Selenium. So it actually boots up a browser, and you want that so that you can interact with the JavaScript. When I hover over this, something pops up. When I click this, something submits. So you're actually going a little bit further and actually almost testing the JavaScript at the same time, making sure things happen. They have a second context that is using a headless browser. So it's using, I forget what it is, but it's basically just almost like a curl request. And then you get back the DOM and you're inspecting just the DOM. You're not booting up the actual JavaScript. This was my first foray in a long time back into BDD. My original test, I didn't know about the context, right? So my original test was written in the Selenium version, and it was taking about 22 seconds to run 3 tests. It's like 7 seconds per test. And then he tells me about these contexts, and I'm like, oh, I switched over to the headless one and went from like 21 seconds down to like 5 seconds, just because you don't have that extra overhead of running Selenium. And then he explained the third context is you're not necessarily booting up a browser at all. You're not making a curl request. You are initializing your environment and then sending a request through, like you're bootstrapping the application and then sending just a request, getting back the response, and then you're just looking at that. So instead of making a multiple curl requests, which is what we normally have to do, right? You have to go to the home page, you have to enter your username and password that establishes your session, you're logged in, you have to click through possibly 2 or 3 pages to get to where you need to be. This is really just given this request, what's the response? Does it have the right shape?
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I
never thought about doing it that way.
As I dive more into it, like had the thought that needs to be a conference talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bo in our Discord, and again, if you want to participate, join us over in discord.phpugly.com, says he has a paranoid hack for SQL statements where he adds a limit to the end of it. And I'm just curious, or maybe I don't understand it. Can't you always prefix a statement with explain and see what that statement's going to do?
But he's talking more about when you put code in production and you're worried that your where clause is going to match too much.
Run wild. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to end up deleting or updating too much data. If you always put a limit to, you're never going to delete more than 2 records or update more than 2 records.
So I guess that would be the situation where it's like, okay, if you want to delete a contact, let's just say, right, and you can in your head, the use cases, they should only be able to delete 1 contact at a time. You would limit that to 1 or limit it to 2,
right,
knowing that, okay, this is never going to go off the rails and just delete all their contacts.
Right.
Gotcha. That's
there's
actually
also
not a terrible idea.
There's also a MySQL flag that you can turn on. It's probably in other databases as well that won't allow a user to delete if they don't have a where clause. So you can't just say delete from user.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that would, okay.
So kind of along the similar lines, but definitely had those delete with the where clause where I messed up part of it, used an or instead of an and or something, and Where'd all my data go?
I'm pretty sure I've done the same thing where I haven't been explicit enough. Yeah, I think I even had. Well, actually, let me do this. Okay, so we are in a new month, February. Do want to thank all of our supporters on Patreon. If you're listening to the audio version, we're showing our Patreon supporters. There's a long list, only getting longer. Thank you, everybody, for helping us out. If you want to participate, or if you want to help the show, go to patreon.com /PHP Athlete. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I've done something similar to that, where I've had a wear clause, but I'm trying to remember what it was. I did something where I put a wild card in the wrong spot, and it like deleted like the wrong amount of records. I can't remember what I did now. Shoot.
Bo clarified that it's mostly going into production database when you're doing things Wild West style, where you're just doing updates or deletes in production. I do something similar. Instead of doing a delete or an update, I do a select first to make sure I'm selecting the right number. And then we'll go back and change it to the update or delete. I've also done it where I'll do that select and I'll select just the primary key. Like in your example of a contact, select the contact ID based on a bunch of things, make sure I get back a reasonable number of IDs, and then I do a delete where that ID is in that list. So it's a very finite set of lists, a finite list of IDs versus where their email is this and, 5 other fields that I'm trying to limit it to.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, all our supporters on Patreon.
Yes, thank you.
I think that's it, man. We're at the hour mark, right?
Yeah, I like how you had one name in there that had just a tiny bit bigger font.
There's something wrong with Canva. I'm not sure what the problem is with that person. That name always seems to get the font seems a little thicker for some reason.
It seems like it gets just a tiny bit more love for some reason.
A little bit more attention, right? But
yeah.
it kind of brings you a little bit more attention. I don't know what that's about.
Random generator gone haywire or something.
Or there are extra special Patreon. Maybe that's it. They're at a different level of patriotism. All right.
Excited about tech. Want you out there. Go to tech.php.arch, tech.phparch.com for more information. If there's anything we can help with, if you're having trouble convincing your boss, we have templates on there. Find a good portion of our show and send that to them. There's got to be somewhere. We should have that, like some little video where we're trying to tell people why they should be at tech. I was recently telling somebody, I was trying to convince them and telling them that I talked to lots of PHP developers that would rather work for a company that values continuing education like conferences than they would for another company. Because I think that's true. Like if I was on the job hunt today and if I had a choice of which job I was going to take, that might be a deciding factor for me if one offered some sort of conference benefit and the other didn't.
I got something I'll throw out to you guys. First off, I'm getting called out by my child, NorCal kid, and it reminded me of something. So NorCal kid is calling out the fact that I don't draw attention to the fact that SoCal kid is a Patreon supporter. When I was doing the Patreons for this month, I'm like, you know what? I should highlight like everybody who's an employee or everybody we have like a professional relationship with, just kind of like a disclaimer, like, hey, we do business with these people or they're, they work for us. And then I started looking at a list. I'm like, no, that's just too many highlights. Man, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. There's too many highlights here, man. So yeah, I scratched that idea. But
We have a
shit,
good community.
I forgot what I was about to talk about that before that. What did you lead into that with? Oh, I know what it was. Community, PHP ugly community. So we're trying to come up with a very cool speaker GIF. If you have been a speaker at a conference previously, or if you thought about being a speaker at a conference, I'm just curious, what is the coolest GIF you ever got? And you can be specific, but we have a loose idea of a couple options, a couple of directions we might go this year, but it just got me thinking. Like, I've never spoken at a conference before. I've participated on panels at a conference. That's where I got the cool skateboard behind me. The Linux is not a crime skateboard was because I participated on a panel at a conference, and that is a cool gift, but out of our price range. If you have gift ideas, hit us up in Discord. There's several of us in there who are organizing the conference, and no idea is to wait. What's being said here? Speaker gift ideas, they might be dumb. I was about to say no ideas too dumb, but but they're ideas. Yeah, it's just like one of those things. Like, you want it to be special. Like, you wanted something, the kind of thing like, it's really cool that I have this, but I wouldn't have gotten it for myself. But I like the fact that I have it, and that for me personally, I want to make sure that it has a reference to the conference. That's kind of cool. But yeah, let us know. Let us know what you got. Corey, you don't feel like Corey in Discord. Don't feel obligated to talk about like a speaker GIF you might have gotten or anything like that you may drink coffee from on a regular basis. It wasn't, it might have been an awesome speaker GIF, but it's fine. Yeah. Flowers. Really? Flowers? Oh, that's SoCal kid. Really? Flowers? Come on. Speaker GIFs. Oh, here we go. A bag of Voodoo Donuts. Really? So, like, you got like food
as a speaker.
I mean, I guess Portland Voodoo Donuts. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but like, that's like short-lived, right? Marshmallows with food again. You really like the food gifts, don't you? A deck of cards with illustrations of all the speakers. I know that one. And that was a very cool one. I actually came across my deck of cards recently. And food is good? Really? Then you don't have to take it home. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. When we're talking about, don't say like a car or anything like that. Don't. There is a budget to this.
I was going to say $1 million, but
but also travel as well, right? These speakers have to be able to pack it up, and they are memorable. All right, so I don't know, man. I think
we're already feeding them dinner Monday night and then lunch Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They don't need more food.
That's how I feel about it. Yeah. I mean, I thought of like would a gift card make sense? Like, would speakers rather have a gift card where they can just buy their own thing? That seems like very impersonal, though.
Impersonal, and then
you don't realize how cheap you were.
Well, that you don't have the tangible thing like to remind you that you spoke at this conference.
Yeah. Hey, where'd you get that? I don't know. Where'd you get that Yeti cup? Let's just say Yeti cup. Let's just use Yeti cup as an example.
The one that has a logo on it with a year?
That's it. You just turn it around like this year, this logo. It says speaker on it because I was a speaker. That's right. If you were a speaker last year, that's what you got from us. It was a Yeti cup that had the logo of the conference, the year, and said speaker. So gift cards to deep dish pizza place. So here's the problem with that. Then everybody would leave the conference and go to a deep dish pizza place. Come on, Corey. You're supposed to be on our team. Let's go.
Anyway.
Yeah.
They're in Chicago. They're going to do it anyway.
Last year I didn't do it. I didn't do a deep dish pizza. I didn't do the big hot dog joint that everybody went to. I forget what it's called now. I'm gonna make an effort to do that this year. I did do a lot though. I went on that. If you haven't been to Chicago, you really do want to go to tech because there's a lot of and you either want to come early or maybe stay late because there's so many cool things to do in Chicago. We did the river cruise where they did the architectural tour, and you're like just going through the little river. It's hard to explain here in the States because it's so unusual to see this riverway that's going through a city. It's not common here in the U.S. It's common probably in the UK or EU or wherever you are EU because I'm thinking Amsterdam. But yeah, it was the coolest thing. You just go through. We did a bunch of tours. The current wife and I did a bunch of touristy things last year that I'm kind of looking forward to. Maybe, hopefully, going to catch a Cubs game if I can get to one before the conference. Because the reality of it is, like, once the conference starts, I'm locked in. I'm not either. I don't have time to do something, or I'm too exhausted. I don't particularly want to go do anything at that point.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, WorstCon is a thing. It was just pointed out. Started, I want to say, back in 2012, where a group of people went and stood in a line at a hot dog joint, and then they started getting hot dog hats and wearing them as they went out. So definitely a thing.
It's kind of a tradition for PHP conferences, at least here in the US. I assume everywhere, but there's usually some sort of representation of WorstCon, and Chris
Tankersley is speaking, so he will be there, and he is a WorstCon leader.
Jeffrey in Discord, where was WorstCon at? Do you remember where you guys went? Oh, I think Corey went too. Corey, didn't you go to WorstCon? Pretty sure Corey went. I forget where they went, but it was like one of the popular joints in Chicago.
Did I just lie? I said Chris Tankersley was speaking, and I don't think he is.
I think you lied. I wasn't gonna.
I did lie. I'm like, as soon as I said it, I'm like, wait, I think I'm wrong.
I'm like, did you just like let some surprise slip and you hadn't even told me?
Sorry,
yet?
Chris. Chris is not speaking.
Chris Tinkley was the keynote speaker at WorstCon. Corey, where did you guys go though? Do you remember what it was called? I think it starts with a P or something. I forget. It's a famous Chicago place.
Portillo's is the
Portillo's. I think it might have been where they went.
Yeah,
but it's not always sausages. That's kind of like where the idea began. We went to Longhorn once, and they just kind of did a WorstCon. I forgot where we went, but yeah, it was fun. It was. I've never been to an official thing, but yeah. Portillo, yeah, 5 minutes from the. Oh, we have one. Okay, yeah, in Orlando. Yeah, I guess that's a chain here in the U.S. now. I just found out I have one up the road from me.
Oh, really?
Yep. All right, that's it. Hope to see people at Tech. We're not going to have another podcast until after Tech. No, that's a lie. I just feel like it's happening too. Every time we have every time we do a podcast, I'm just reminded how much closer we're getting to Tech.
It's happening quick.
Okay,
right, get your tickets. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. That's it. Episode 370 is in the can. Don't do anything yet. I gotta cue this up. Just figured you would have done this, but
I started, but you beat me to it.
I'm Eric.
I'm John. Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
John, I think the current wife might have solved our speaker gift dilemma for this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll paste it here in Slack because it fits everything about it. It even fits the theme. Sorry, didn't actually copy that correctly. Look at this. Tell me that isn't the best idea.
That's pretty cool.
And look at the prices, right?
They're going to pay us to take them? Perfect.
We have to get them in the next 5 hours, though. That's the only problem. Actually, once you start engraving, it jumps up pretty dramatically. Oh, this was such a good idea until I saw that.
Oh yeah, it's more expensive than the Yetis.
Yeah. Shoot. Maybe we can find another combination, like a less. You understand where I'm going with that, right? Like, yeah.
I was just looking in our Discord meme channel. Ricardo Tavares. Ricardo posted a funny meme. I'm sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. Like,
we have a meme channel?
We have a meme channel.
I'm not even in the meme channel.
If you don't know, PHP Ugly has a meme channel. And
holy smokes!
The whole point of a meme channel is you can only post memes. You're not supposed to type anything or write anything. You talk in memes, you reply in memes. And that last one was just funny to me. Somebody mentioned it, so I created it last month. I obviously didn't do a very good job promoting it because there's the WorstCon hat picture in Discord.
Oh my god, that meme was driving me crazy, and then the payoff happened.
Like, these images aren't normally like this. What's happening?
I know. I'm like, what's going on right now? Damn it. Yes, the WorstCon hat. There you go. Bo, did you just take that picture just now? Pretty awesome.
ITTT, if this then that. I don't know what the extra T's are in your question.
We should get a We should get Bo to come out and DJ our conference. He DJ'd LarryCon that one year in New York. If you're wondering what's going on right now, if this is your first time joining the show and you're like, what's happening? These guys aren't talking. It's because the show's over. This is after show stuff. We just hang out and wrap things up. Get your little turntables there, huh, Bo?
Now we just keep. Right now we just kind of chat, hang out.
Yeah, so Corey, that's actually not a terrible idea. I mean, it's actually a really good one. You think about the travel aspect of it and everything. This is what I shared with John. I'm telling everybody on the podcast to let them know that they're not involved in the conversation that's happening behind the scenes. But that's what the current wife had suggested, and of course now they're looking for cheaper alternatives to that, but kind of the same concept. Oh, this one is engraved. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, that is much cheaper, actually. Interesting.
Well, it's engraved, but I think just with that message, I don't know if you can customize the message.
Yeah, I don't see any way to customize it. I mean, even that message would be fine, but I still want the logo. Like, put a sticker on the inside, open a bunch of them, put the sticker on the inside.
That message doesn't really work.
Why not? I like it. You're traveling, like you've traveled to a conference, you know.
Yeah, but usually when you give, I don't know what I'm supposed to share and not share on what it says, but
yeah. I don't want to give away what it is. I was gonna say don't get too geeky about it. If your whole thing hung up of home.
No, it wasn't the geeky aspect. It was It was the last word of it.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. You're saying. Yeah. I like that idea, though. Have to see what we come up with.
So everyone had a marshmallow with their picture on it?
Yeah, what was that? A marshmallow? Like, is it a big marshmallow? Like, really large?
It's right there. There's a picture of it in Discord.
Oh, I had moved on. What? Oh, I'll put this out there. I don't know. Maybe you don't want me to, but I don't care. I almost bought, until I looked at the reviews. There's on Amazon, they have this machine that will do your nails with like images. So you like put your hand in it. It's basically like the custom nail stuff. That's what it's meant for. I'm like, we should have that at our table at the conference, and we can have like the PHP ugly logo and PHP architect logo and just the PHP elephant. People can have whatever logo they want on whatever finger they want.
I'm sure that would go over well.
I think it would. You don't think it would? You seem sarcastic about that.
No, I don't think it would.
Why? What am I missing? Why not?
I just don't.
That would be great.
I'm
I
not
bet
saying I
you
wouldn't
would.
do it.
I bet you it would go over huge.
You
Everybody
know
would
where
have
where it would go
painted
over
nails.
huge. You know when it would go over huge? Not at registration, not during the day, but you get to the nighttime when we're doing the game night.
Game night. Yeah, yeah, that
That's
definitely
when
would.
that's when it happens.
Makes boozy.
All right. Good night, Bo.
Take it easy, Bo. You'd have to censor it.
You'd have to censor what? That nail machine? Is that what you mean?
I'm assuming. I have my current wife is a very twisted individual. I tell you this all the time. No, joking.
But it sounds like it has like. I'm assuming you upload specific images and you hit a button in it, or is it like you have to have your computer attached to it and I want to print this.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
I just got a message from a client. Yeah,
I've got a couple waiting on me.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what's happening here?
Unfortunately.
But, yeah. All right. We should probably wrap this up then. And thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Had a great time.
Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.